Hi, friends. Welcome to Enlightened World Network. We've got a very special event today. It is July 21st, full moon in Capricorn and 9 Universal Day with Michele Landers. Now, what I want you to know, Michele Landers is a professional numerologist. She's EWN's very favorite and only numerologist, but she meets with us the very first day of every month and just lays out what the month is going to look like numerologically and astrologically. And we had a very special event last Sunday. Michele came on and she actually recorded with us on Saturday morning. And it was about July 15 and all of the different impacts numerologically and astrologically for July 15th and those days around. And I'm getting goosebumps as I say it, but Michele recorded with us in the morning, and then about 4 hours later, there was an assassination attempt on President Trump's life. So she nailed it in her comments. So I just wanted to share that before we actually got started. Michele Landers, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you too. Thank you so much, Ruth, and thank you for mentioning that. And yeah, it was really interesting. And when I went back and listened to it again, the last thing that I had said was, and a lot of people say, "Oh, that's just coincidence." I said something to the effect, "Well, maybe we dodged a bullet this time," and that turned out. I mean, I was pretty blown away a couple of hours later, as you said, after we recorded it, when I saw that. So that's why I thought, I'm not going to miss this opportunity to give people some more information about what's going on. And I guess part of it, there's a lot of non-believers out there, and astrology and numerology do not point to absolutes, but they sure do talk about strong tendencies and very strong tendencies and something happening. So unless Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or whoever came down and interpreted these signs, it comes through us and we're human. So with that disclaimer, I really, really did want to talk about this full moon. I don't have to tell anybody that we're in very, very crazy and intense times right now. So tomorrow is July 21st, and we have a blue moon. And you know the saying, once in a blue moon. And I think this blue moon definitely is more of that once in a blue moon energy than normal. So I just want to give everybody a heads up. And honestly, I feel that the transit that I talked about last week and this transit that's coming up tomorrow, it's kind of all meshing together, and we're going to see how that unfolds. So it's a reminder that we're still under the influence of the Mars-Uranus Algol conjunction from last week. Now, the Mars-Uranus Algol conjunction is waning, but we still have that energy, and now we have, tomorrow, the full moon in Capricorn. So what's next? Well, we have the incoming energy of this Capricorn full moon, and it's known as a blue moon. And the reason for that is because last month we also had a full moon in Capricorn, and that's unusual to have two full moons in the same sign within a month. And so the expression once in a blue moon comes from this planetary placement. So it's unusual. And again, we're in some very unusual times. Now, full moons traditionally are a time for releasing and relinquishing. So every month with every full moon, we can expect things to be a little more emotional, a little more intense, or should I say, oh, excuse me. So something's freezing up. People tend to be more emotional. A full moon will bring things into the light. It illuminates things. And I also want to remind people that these transits, even though they're for a specific day, the energy of it is before and after, either a couple of days, sometimes a week. eclipses, which I won't go into right now, that energy can last for 6 months and then another one comes. So it's not always exact on that day. So full moons bring things to an end. It brings completion. It brings closure and disclosure. So that's normal for a full moon. This full moon is at 29 degrees. And 29 degrees is an anaretic degree in astrology, which simply means it's a pivotal change. So it's at a very karmic degree and conclusion. This is the end of a cycle. But all of these transit, all of these planetary transitions and happenings, they're all for our growth, which it's very difficult for us to see at that time. In addition, tomorrow, when reduced to a single digit, is 9. And if you know anything about numerology, 9 is all about endings. So I really want to be clear, all right? There are plenty of dates that reduce to a 9. That's not unusual at all in isolation. But when we have other intense energies, such as what's going on now, pointing to endings, that just intensifies the energy of the 9. So as I mentioned, this full moon is in Capricorn at its anorectic degree. Now, what's Capricorn? Capricorn is structures. It can be physical structures. It can be family structures. It can be career. It can mean, and we have some 6 energy going on, which I won't go into, but it has to do with political structures. It's about government, banks, hierarchies, big institutions, people that have power. Now, we know that's just not in the United States, but this energy is all over the world. And so government structures are changing all over. So it's about authority figures. It's about leaders and political parties. And because it represents the 10th house, and Capricorn rules the 10th house, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, these are some very strong, stubborn energies at work. Many times, the 10th house represents the father energy, and that is traditionally thought of as authority. So this energy can mean a quote unquote system that doesn't work for anymore is crumbling. So it's about systems that have to be changed on the world stage, or it can be some system that needs to be changed within our lives. This full moon is also asking us to be realistic and face things as they really are. And I really want to emphasize that. And I believe I talked about it last week. You know, we can be going along saying, la, 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 everything is good. And maybe it is good. I'm not looking to disrupt anybody's life, but I am suggesting if you've been doing something for a long time, the same thing, it might be time to shake things up again, or shake things up, not again, but well, I don't know. I guess I'm speaking to myself right now. So this energy is also about, and this is a quote, small groups making big decisions. Now, I don't even know where to put that. I'm just saying that is a piece from the astrological aspect playbook. So that could be going on beneath the surface. There is still this energy of unexpected situations, shocking and surprising events. We have Uranus going on here, and eruptions, whether that is physical, material, or mental or emotional. And again, just know that this energy isn't just on the 21st. It could be days before or days after. And speaking of which, the day after the full moon on July 22nd, the sun leaves Cancer and enters that fiery sign of Leo. So that is also another reason I wanted to bring this out today. So for me, that is fiery energy, intense energy, it's talking loud. Now, All that said, there are some other transits taking place that can also, if we tap into it and we rise above all the noise, can enhance our intuition. It can bring in some very good and enlightening energy, opening our minds. That's what we're going through. We're going through a cleansing, and these little pockets, transits of numbers and astrological aspects are all pushing us to open our minds, bring in more optimism about the future, which I realize for some it's really difficult, but have faith. It is going to change for the better. So although I've painted a picture of a lot of intensity, there is this sense, this subtle sense of hope that other transits are projecting that we need to align ourselves with, although we may have to dig deep for it. So one more thing about the future that I want to mention is the Pluto in Aquarius transit. And I know that I've talked about this before, but I want to keep repeating it because it is major. This year, Pluto has been toggling back and forth between Capricorn. Capricorn represents the old guard, and the sign of Aquarius, which is young and forward thinking and likes new and innovative things and unique ideas. So why am I mentioning this transit again? Well, Pluto enters into Aquarius in November. Now that means bringing younger energy into, Pluto is, transformational, into government and with different and new, unique ideas. However, that being said, it's just the beginning of that transit, and that transit's going to be around until 2043. So things definitely, if I can say anything with absolute, I will say things will be shaken to be awakened. And hopefully, that doesn't mean it's going to happen absolutely in November. Again, it's a long-term transit, but things are changing. So hopefully sooner rather than later. So whatever the case, it's there. And one more thing I'm just going to throw out there. Next year, numerologically, and of course we'll talk about this in January, it's a very feminine year. So we can count on more females making the news, more female-related topics coming up for discussion, and anything having to do with female energy, and having, and also, okay, so that, so much female energy. So what does that mean? I don't know yet. We have to see. But that's an absolute. Feminine energy is going to be very, very strong next year and needing balance more than ever, okay? So for everyone listening, hold on to your head and your heart. Allow yourself to evolve. And I encourage you to step out of whatever self-imposed box you might have. Whatever you've been doing for a long time may need some upgrading or changing. So that's it, and enjoy the weekend. And I hope that you have some enlightening experiences with this transit.
Thank you, Michelle. I can't help but think that big technological glitch that the whole upended the travel industry yesterday. You talk about the couple days before and the couple days after, and that was on the 19th, and you're telling us to keep your eyes open on the 21st. So it all just makes sense.
Yeah. And I did mention that last week. I know about electronics going haywire or something like that. Yeah, because of this energy. It's, there are people who don't believe it. And I came from a very linear, my early career was in the medical field. And again, I always say it wasn't clinical, it was administrative, but I still had that mindset of things being practical and linear. So it really took a lot to convince me that there's something going on with these numbers and transits. But when I had gotten that validation from Dr. Edgar Mitchell, who is the sixth man to walk on the moon, that there is some validity to it and has to do with the quantum field, I felt relieved. But I always do it in a cautionary way. There are no absolutes. These are trends and tendencies, and all for one reason, to help us grow and evolve. It's all good in the end. Although, it's like anything giving birth, right? Or a seed breaking out of, its pod, or a chicken breaking out of its shell. It's always, it can be painful to do that.
Yeah, the growing pains. I apologize for the dogs.
I think your dog agrees. I think that was a bark of agreement.
I think it was. So, Michele, what would you like folks to know about you if they're not familiar with your work?
Well, they could go to my website, michelelanders.com, Michele with one L, and you can check out the things that I do. I do numerology charts for people. I do baby destiny charts. I do not comparison charts, but compatibility charts. I do that for people for weddings. It's really nice, framed, or anniversaries. I am also a board certified life coach and a hypnotherapist. So go to my website if you want to just chat with me. I offer a free 15-minute consult, and I'll be happy to talk with anyone. So thank you.
Excellent. Michele, thank you so much for keeping us abreast of things that are coming up this month. July 2024, it's certainly a month that is getting our attention. So thank you for walking us through this.
Thank you.
Yes. So friends here at Enlightened World Network, thank you for being here. Just stay attuned to EWN. There is something new every single day, and it's all created with you in mind, your own spiritual and personal growth. So take good care. God bless. We'll see you all soon.